Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today you are here to learn one of the sharpest, the most cutting edge, one of the best openings in the world to play with the black pieces against 1d4, and that is the Grünfeld defense. So we're going to go over to the analysis board. This is the position of the Grünfeld defense. This is officially when it becomes the Grünfeld. Oh, I've clicked away. Anyway. And you might ask, how did we get here? Well, this is how we got here. We played 1d4, and you play knight to f6 if you're with the black pieces. c4, g6. Knight to c3, and you will know from our last video that white plays e4 here to go into a King's Indian after bishop to g7. But black doesn't allow 1e4. They strike back in the center with d5. The main line follows as suit. And remember, I'm going to branch out into many different variations. The moves will all be in the description down below, linked with a bunch of other cool stuff. Anyway, so here, white takes the pawn. And the most common move is obviously black takes back with the knight, and then e4. You kick the knight out the center, and black takes back like this, and we get b takes c3, and bishop to g7. This is the main position that you will see in the Grünfeld defense. This is it. Here is where the game really sprouts out. You might say, are there any other moves other than taking? Back here, maybe I don't want to take and allow all of this because of what's going to come up. There's one other move here that gets played. That's just knight to f3. And basically what you do here is you still play bishop to g7, and then queen to b3, putting pressure on all of this. And now we play d takes c4, queen takes c... Oh, not that move. Queen takes c4. Okay. That is the main idea. But let's go back to the main line with all of this. Here, you've got a couple choices as white. And they are bishop to c4 and knight to f3. We're going to start with bishop to c4. It's the main line. And here, it's the coup de grace c5. This is what black gets, because you obviously can't push. You take and you lose your whole existence. You obviously don't take like this, because I would take and then I would take this. So you need to defend it. That's why we play knight to e2. That's why there's two variations, because knight to f3 is something different. And then here, we've just played knight to c6, putting pressure. Bishop to e3, reinforcing the center as much as you can. And here, black castles before they get themselves into too much trouble, castles. And if you can get to this position, you're fine. There are various times when the queen will come out to a5 to put more pressure on. The queen can always come out to either this diagonal or this one, putting pressure on one of these two. But if you can get here, you should be fine. In response to black hit to this position, black's got a couple of moves, namely bishop to g4, or queen c7. Those are the main moves that get played in this position. But as I said, we don't have to start off with bishop to c4. Instead, what we can do is play knight to f3. And still again, c5. This is the most important move. But now, it affords white the ability to play either rook b1, which is the main move, and following rook b1, it's now castles. Now you can castle earlier. Bishop to e2 now, not as defensive, cd4, cd4. And queen a5 check, bishop d2, queen takes a2. This is the main line, Grünfeld, from this variation. And then obviously white castles here. And then black does something. This is where the game really branches out. Most commonly it's bishop to g4, trying to undermine the defense of d4. You might say, Matthew, this is so much. The moves are in the description down below for you to paste in to Lichess, chess.com. I'm using Lichess for this because the openings database is much more in depth for me. I can use the masters database, which is more accurate, and we don't really want to know what moves 1200s are playing. Chess.com just has one board. Anyway, so that is kind of what splits off knight to f3, but there's also, remember I said you don't have to play rook b1. You can also play, in this position, bishop to e3, solidifying the center. Now you get queen a5. Remember I said it's a common move, but now queen to d2. So we don't allow the queen to capture on anything. We still allow all this pressure, and knight to c6 comes. Black castles at any time, but castling for black is almost too slow sometimes. The main line that involves castling, you see it's castling very late, and you don't get to fully exact pressure on this position. So knight to f3 is something that invites lots of trouble. Remember, we're always going to go grab that bishop right at the end. And this position is level. But there are ways, so many ways, that white can lose the pawn, lose the game, in fact. And whereas the King's Indian was very maneuvering, and it was a slow build-up of an attack where you just kind of stormed each other, this is dynamic. Look at this. No center pawns really for black. They've got this pawn on c5. But you're using this bishop, and the tactics on the rook and on the king. You've brought the queen out. You've got your knight in. This bishop can develop very quickly to put pressure on this knight. It's very dynamic, and it requires immediate focus and calculation. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just been a short description of the Grünfeld. We can go on for days. We can go on till move 20 of theory. But this is just really what the Grünfeld is about. And constantly you're asking, can black take? What happens if I take back? Well, I mean, we take like this, and, the pawn might hang, so we might have to take with the king, and, all sorts of different things that you have to calculate. Again, rook b1, a move here to maybe get counterplay. So, leave in the description, in the comments down below, not the description. I write the description, you write comments. Some of you are very nice, some of you are not so nice. But tell me what you still want to see. If you want a Grünfeld part 2, if you want a King's Indian part 2, if you want any of my openings part 2 to expand. But I hope you have a pleasant day.